everyone, it's Julia here on my channel again, helping students get through law school and then giving some career advice. And today I would like to talk about a very popular topic. You've decided to do a law degree and you're probably finishing it, or you're nearing towards the end of the degree, or you've already finished, and the question of employment comes up. How do I get a job? How do I get a law job? And I'll give you some tips in this video. So I recently uploaded a video about this important question. Will I be able to get a job in Australia after I graduate with a Juris Doctor degree? And this video got a lot of comments and views, and I really wanted to follow up on this topic because a lot of questions came through to my Instagram and on YouTube as well. So if you have any questions, please post them, and you can also get in touch with me on my Instagram handle and I can respond to you directly, which I do with a lot of budding law students or future law students. So when it comes to getting jobs, because I had a previous commerce degree, I thought that the legal market and the employment was completely different. When I did my commerce degree, I graduated with my degree. I was working part-time in certain areas, but then when I actually graduated, that's when I started to apply. With the law degree, the most common thing that you would be doing is actually applying in your penultimate year, so before you complete your law degree. With the Juris Doctor, because it takes 3 years full-time to complete the degree, it means that in your second year of study, when you've just gotten into it, I felt like my second year, I just started feeling like I'm getting the hang of it. All of a sudden, I had this pressure of applying for clerkships mid-year. And that was quite stressful, I think, because you're only just starting to understand the law and what's required in order to get good grades in your exams. But there's also this pressure to start applying, to demonstrate good marks, to have already demonstrated them, and then complete these applications where you preferably should have had some legal experience already as a paralegal. And this is where the LLB students may have a bit of an advantage because they study for 5 years, whereas the JD students only study for 3. And so I was faced with applying for clerkships, which is trainee contracts for the summer, and having to demonstrate some legal experience plus good grades in a short amount of time. I didn't have legal experience because I had a completely different career beforehand, but I've never actually worked in a legal area, and I never worked in a law firm. So I would recommend that as soon as you start your degree, I know it's difficult and I know that it takes a long time to get your footing and to understand what's actually required from you. Try to get an internship while you're studying, and that will really help you understand what it's like to work in a law firm. But most importantly, it will put you in a good place in terms of then having some experience on your CV when you complete your studies or when you continue to apply for other legal jobs. A lot of law schools actually have these career weeks or career days, and if you inquire with your university, I'm sure that there's some kind of career opportunities that arise where you can network and go and actually see stands in person from all of the different law firms that come to visit your campus. So the University of Sydney would have these quite often, and so whenever there was an opportunity to go along, even if it meant I had to miss a lecture, I would go. because the networking opportunities that you get with people who come and visit from these different law firms are really important. You can actually ask people questions in person, and what was the most important for me is I could actually get a bit of a idea of the kinds of people that the law firms hire. I mean, it's very difficult to judge just based on a sample of one or two. However, you can still kind of see that there is a trend in personalities, the way that their HR representative or the grad recruiter behaves. So that was really helpful for me. I went along to a few of these evenings or days where there were different law firms presenting their stands to students at the University of Sydney or other areas. And then I was able to connect with people on LinkedIn. That's my advice, is try to meet whoever you are meeting in person, and then ask them if it would be okay to connect with them on LinkedIn, and that way you can follow up if you have further questions. Or what happened later is, because I connected with a lot of the graduates or lawyers from different firms when I was interviewing at those firms, I could then message my connection and say, hey, by the way, I'm interviewing at the firm, could we meet for coffee before, just to ask some questions? And people usually say yes, so that's a really great way to then establish a connection. And what happened at one of the events is I met a graduate recruiter from the firm I'm working at, and I was able to then connect with her, and so I left my email for the firm's database as well. And when a paralegal role came up within the firm, there was an email that was sent out to everybody that left their email through that networking day, and I was then able to apply for that role. And so in my second year as a Juris Doctor student, I was already working as a paralegal with this firm, and so that helps a lot as well. And when it comes to then getting trainee contracts and clerkships for the summer, you're able to then have a greater visibility of what the firm is like. The process, however, is very separate, so it's not that if you get in as a paralegal, you're guaranteed a position. Sometimes that was quite a disappointing thing for a lot of people, where they would work as a paralegal at a certain firm and then would apply for the clerkship and then get rejected, even though they have spent a lot of time. So the criteria are completely different for a clerk versus a paralegal, and sometimes it doesn't really help that you are at the firm, but I say that it's an opportunity nonetheless, and if anything, it still adds value to your CV and your hireability later down the line. So getting a role as a paralegal through your networking events or otherwise is a really good idea as well. The summer clerkships, those are the summer internships that most law firms organize for the duration of a couple of months, and that will be in your penultimate year as a student. So in the end of my second year of the Juris Doctor, I was completing a clerkship program at the law firm that I'm at, and a lot of my peers were also doing the same thing. I don't know how much the market's changed since I graduated, because it's been over 3 years now, but my sense is that the legal market is a bit less competitive, especially for new entrants. When I was graduating, it was still very competitive to get a clerkship, so there was a lot of pressure and a lot of competition on students trying to get one, and it was kind of interesting to see the division between the people from my cohort who were applying for clerkships and then going down the corporate law path, and then the people who did not want to do that. And I mean, now it's changed so much that even if you don't have a clerkship, you can still apply as a graduate. There are definitely graduate roles, so even if you, in your penultimate year, did not get the trainee contract, you can still, after you've completed your law degree, apply for graduate roles at different law firms. And I think it's great to start off in a big international firm or a big global firm with a reputable name that will always give your CV a boost. However, if that opportunity doesn't come up, I think that it's actually also a great thing for you, because what a lot of my peers did is, if they didn't get a clerkship or if they felt like they didn't want to work for a big international firm straight away, they went to work for boutique firms. And there's a lot of good boutique firms in Australia that hire graduates, that train well, that have interesting matters. And once you've found your area of interest and you've done your 1 to 2 years PQE, you've been admitted, you can always go to a big firm with a reputable name. And I've seen a lot of people do that, and recently more than probably in the past. So I think there's opportunities everywhere, and so my advice is to not let something like not being able to get in on your first try or facing a bit of a rejection in the recruitment process let you sway and be disappointed in the process. The recruitment process is always tough, and I mean, in the end, you only need one job. So if you get rejected from 20 and get one, that's all you need. It doesn't matter about the rejection. So apply as much as you can. Have a go at the clerkship. If it doesn't work out, like I said, you can still go back. If your dream was to work for a big brand name firm, you'll get there. Because in the end, it's the experience that matters. So if you've done similar work at another firm, the big law firms will still want you later down the track, even though initially they may seem snobby and they may demand the best grades and the most amazing CV. Once you've got a year or two up your sleeve, even in a smaller firm, the big firms will look at you because especially now the market is quite hot, and you have every chance in the world to pick the firm that you want to work for, and you will probably get hired. And so I think there's different pathways to getting a role, either straight out of uni or while you're completing your degree, or when you finish the degree. There's opportunities. Some people I know also went to work for government, and then they changed into private sector, and then people are shifting and changing more than ever, especially the cohort that came after mine. I've seen so many people change already, and some people have even left the law. They practiced for a bit and then they left, and they realized it wasn't for them. I hope you found this video helpful. If you've got any questions, please let me know in the comments below, and subscribe if you think this content is good and I should keep going with producing more videos. I would also like to hear your suggestions on what kind of topics I should talk about in my next video. So thank you for joining me today. Good luck with all of your job applications.